Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're talking about all the new PlayStation stuff.
Well, Daniel, this week has been a very interesting week for PlayStation gamers.
Mm-hmm. And PlayStation haters and PlayStation lovers alike.
That's right. Not only did we get our PlayStation State of Play this past week, we also got rumors or reports that Sony is working on a new handheld.
Yeah, so are we upgrading this from rumor to report status? Is that what we're doing? Did we just do that for the masses?
I think there are reports that they're doing it.
Okay.
I don't think it's just a rumor, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Okay. The doomsday needle has moved.
Yeah. Which is interesting because we just got a Sony handheld, the PlayStation Portal, but the difference is that this device
Is real.
is actually going to play games natively.
Yeah. This is what I wanted. And I'm only going to have to live like another million years to get it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the report is that they're working on it. It's in development, but that it hasn't been greenlit. Like it's not officially going to be a thing, but they're messing around with the idea.
They're talking about it. They remember the good old days when the PSP was just freaking lit. They know that the PlayStation Portal put out that fire, and they're ready to rekindle the flames of a once proud handheld line.
So apparently they're doing this with AMD. They're working with AMD on this.
Standard.
And what's really strange to me is that apparently it's going to be like kind of in the same line as the Steam Deck, sort of like something like that.
Sure.
It will play PS4 games and it will play PS5 games, but the games will need to have a patch. Like the PS5 games will need to have a patch to be able to run on this.
From the devs.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing
Yeah,
that is because maybe it isn't going to be the most powerful device in the entire world.
Well, I know it's rumored that this is going to be like in the PS6 time, right?
Yes.
So to me, that scares me. Hearing those specs and knowing it's not going to come out till the next generation scares me, because if you're talking about something that's about equivalent to a Steam Deck, which sounds like kind of what they are, if they're saying it plays PS4 games and some PS5 games, that's pretty much a Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is already the most underpowered handheld PC of the big three, so if they're going to wait another 5 years to put this out, it's going to be way, way, way underpowered at that point. I think they need to continue talking to AMD and beef that thing up a little bit.
Well, the initial thing I saw didn't say 5 years. It said minimum of 2 years out. But now that being said, then I heard later that it could be even further. Like it could launch with the PlayStation 6. But when will the PlayStation 6 launch? We don't really know. I mean, we could guess that most consoles have around a 7-year lifespan. But that may be extended for the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 came out in 2020, so we could see somewhere at 2026, which is 2 years from now.
That's true, I guess. This generation has been so weird because it
really
just
weird.
Doesn't even hardly feel like it started. It's like it finally kind of does.
No, I think we're finally now in it where I finally feel like it's here. But
we're 4 years in.
I think more realistically, we can expect a PlayStation 6 in more like 2027, not 2026. So I'd say this is more like 3 years out. And but I agree with you, it'd be weird if during the beginning of the PlayStation 6, we get a handheld from Sony and it's like, oh, this thing plays PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games.
It should be able to play all the PlayStation 5 games and some PlayStation 6 games if they want it to really be like cutting edge and freak people out.
Is the tech there, though?
I don't know.
It's not right now.
It might be in 3 or 4 years. But I know that development's got to start early. So, I don't know. I mean, am I going to buy this? Yes, no matter what. If it's what they say it is. But I do think they need to not shoot for the Steam Deck as their benchmark of current power for something that's not going to come out for another 3 or 4 years.
Well, I mean, they are working if they're developing it right now, they're working with today's tech. So I mean,
I know.
There's only so much they could do.
But, by the same token, the Steam Deck has to play all the PC games from all these different development teams, and they're not all created equal. If Sony's making this, it's going to be tailored for the PlayStation stuff. So they may have a little bit of magic they can work. They may have a little bit of a leg up as far as optimization goes. And maybe they can work some magic and not need as stout of a system. I don't know. But I'm excited about it. I just hope it's, stout enough for the time it comes out. That's all.
Well, I'm interested in seeing. I kind of think that there is a good chance that this won't happen, unfortunately, just because I don't see what PlayStation has to gain a whole lot from it unless it really does take off. But I'm afraid, we had the Vita, and it was such a failure. I mean, the Vita was a cool device, but it just didn't sell well.
Yeah.
It didn't appeal to a lot of people. I don't know that, the Sony audience would be that interested in a dedicated handheld. But maybe they would. And maybe I'm just wrong about that. Maybe I don't have my finger on the pulse of what PlayStation people are wanting.
I don't know, honestly, how well it would sell. I don't know that it would exactly light the PlayStation world on fire. I know on our Discord server, we've had multiple people that aren't me say that a Sony handheld would be something they would be interested in. But that's a small sample size, so I don't know. I mean, maybe we just have to wait and see. But I really hope it happens. And the Vita was a failure, but people also look back on the Vita and say, I sure wish it wasn't because it was awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely ahead of its time. There were a lot of cool things about it. I think the thing that hurt the Vita is that it lacked first-party support because Sony gave up on it so quickly. After it didn't have that initial great sales right out the gate, they kind of gave up on it. No big first-party games after a while. Similar thing we're seeing right now with the PlayStation VR 2.
Sony gave up on it a lot. They also reiterated on it a million different times.
To make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
And it just seems like they never really hit that perfect model. The last one I think they made was the Go, and that was an all digital system, and that was way ahead of what people wanted. So
speaking of all digital, I do think this handheld would be all digital as well.
I do too,
which is a bummer because think of all these people who have physical PlayStation collections, us included.
Yeah,
what would you do with those games? You would feel like it was a slap in the face from Sony to be like, oh, we've got this awesome handheld that you can play all your old games, but only if you bought them digitally. Sorry if you're one of those people trying to hold out on physical media.
Yeah, I don't know how you would hardly make it so that you could play physical stuff. I mean, it had to be big
it would have to have
a full disc.
Yeah, or I guess there could be workarounds. Like maybe it could check in with, if you've got the disc in your PlayStation, maybe it could check in and see that you've done that, like some sort of communication to see that you actually do have the disc. Maybe there could be a workaround there.
Yeah, that would be very pro-consumer if Sony would let you check that you have it.
Yeah.
And then let you download it.
Yeah.
That would be way pro-consumer, and that ain't going to happen.
No. And obviously that would require an online connection every time you wanted to play the game because it would check every single time.
It would, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably how they get me to go all digital. Start making a really BA handheld.
That sucks so much.
Yeah.
If that's what they do. I hope that doesn't happen. I want the handheld. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Let me fix my mic stand here. God, this thing is dropping on me.
Would you still try to buy a mix though? So you had the handheld, you loved it, right? It's great. Would you still try, and it plays everything you want to play, hypothetically, of course. Would you still try to buy some stuff physical and then stuff you knew you wanted to play on a handheld digitally? Or would you buy it all digitally to keep it in the same place? And also, we got to keep in mind that it's more money to buy it all digitally too from PlayStation. This ain't like Steam where they run sales all the time.
No, it just makes me mad even just thinking that I would have to make that decision. So no, I don't even want to think about it, to be honest with you, but I don't know.
Too bad we're on a gaming podcast.
I know, right? I mean, it really does. It makes me mad thinking I would have to decide if I wanted to buy something physically or digitally just because I had this handheld that I wanted to play something on. Whoa.
Yeah, that's irritating.
Super irritating.
But that is probably how they get me. If the handheld is great, I mean, it'd have to be great. It'd have to be something I want to use, you know?
That would be so anti-consumer.
Very.
Because one of the things about physical media is that it gives you options. You aren't tied to one source, one store. So you have the option of borrowing a game from a friend.
Right.
You have the option of renting the game through something like GameFly. If it's digital, you don't have those options. You have to buy the game. And often with Sony and PlayStation, you're buying the game full price years out from when the game released.
That's right. That sucks. I'll tell you what that does is it gets us into their subscriptions.
Yeah,
if they really dive into that a little more and give us something that's even more Game
and they
Passy.
probably will. And
Yeah.
well, I mean, PlayStation Plus is very Game Passy.
Yeah,
now.
but I don't.
We just don't use that.
Does it get the first, the day one releases and stuff though?
No.
'Cause they would need to implement something like that, I think.
Very few exceptions. We're getting Foam Stars coming up, and it's going to be, not only is it going to be a day one release into PlayStation Plus, it's going to be a day one release into PlayStation Plus Essential, which means you can claim the game and own it forever. And
I like that.
Yes, but it's Foam Stars, so
Well, it will be mine.
it'll be Sudsy Splatoon.
I will be a foam star.
So there we go. All right, so moving away from our PlayStation handheld thing, let's talk a little bit about this PlayStation State of Play we got this past week.
But before we do that, I do think it's important that we highlight the fact that we do have a Discord server.
Oh, yes.
So, if you want to join up, you want a direct line of communication with us, as well as some people who are actually really cool, click the link down in the description and join up.
In fact, how we found out about this Sony handheld, it was posted in the gaming news channel on our Discord server by Guy.
That's right.
So that's how we found out about it. That is awesome. Guy does have his finger on the pulse of the PlayStation news. I'll tell you.
That guy's like a freaking game whisperer.
He really is. Oh, Guy. Okay, so we have here. Okay, now we're going to talk about the PlayStation State of Play. We had lots of great things featured. I think it was like over 15, 16 games.
Yeah.
We had Death Stranding 2.
Oh, did we get Death Stranding 2?
Well, we got another look at it.
That one kind of slipped past me.
We had Kojima came in and talk about what he's doing next, which was crazy.
Kojima came out, essentially got on stage and did an interview and spoke?
If you know it.
What? I've never seen him do that.
Daniel, are you going to do this for everything, single thing I say?
No, I just think Kojima's funny. I just like to poke fun at Kojima.
I know you do, and we'll get into that because I have some things to say about that as well. That's kind of probably in the same sort of vein that you do. We also got to look at Stellar Blade. Until Dawn is getting a remaster / remake. I'm still not sure about that because it looked the same to me. V Rising, I can't remember what that was. Silent Hill, we got to see Silent Hill 2. We also got a shadow drop of Silent Hill, the short message. Mm-hmm. We got another look at Rise of the Ronin, which is coming up soon. Legendary Tales, which is a VR game. Another VR game, Metro Awakening VR. It was cool to see some VR stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
We got Dave the Diver Cross Godzilla.
Yeah, we did.
We got another look at Foam Stars. That game's coming out in just a day or two. We got another look at Helldivers 2, which is also coming up this month. Then Zenless Zone Zero, Sonic Cross, Shadow Generations, and Judas. And I think that was everything. I may have missed something, but I think that was all the things that we saw at the State of Play.
Yeah, and it was a lot. I mean, it was steady, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as a whole. I don't think all these announcements were created equal.
I realized I left Dragon's Dogma off this list.
Oh, you did leave Dragon's Dogma 2 off the list. Yeah, that one. You want to talk about Dragon's Dogma?
I mean, like,
Since we're going to forget about it if we don't.
Let's do this. So I would like to know what your favorite games were showcased, but okay. I put out a poll, so let's find out what our viewers' favorite games that were showcased. Hit us with the poll, Daniel.
All right, so at 17%, people said Death Stranding 2 on the beach. 17% also said Silent Hill 2 remake. 23% hit us with the Dragon's Dogma 2, and 43% said something else. So, those are some pretty heavy hitters there, and still the majority said something else. I think that does speak to the variety maybe that we got.
Yeah, in fact, Dragon's Dogma 2 won this poll if you want to take the individual games.
Right.
And I was surprised by that. This was, we've seen Dragon's Dogma 2 before in early things, but this was the first trailer that really stood out to me as being like, ooh, I want to play that game.
Me too. It looks really good, and I'm definitely interested. Now, you talked about how you thought about maybe going back and playing Dragon's Dogma 1. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us have done that. I'm not going to do that because I hear it doesn't age super well, although it is a classic and people love it. So I'm going to wait for Dragon's Dogma 2, and I'm excited. When does that come out?
I don't know. I don't remember what time Dragon's Dogma 2 is. But we have a comment here. Speaking of Dragon's Dogma 2, we have a comment from Cannonballs who says, Dragon Dogma 2, for one thing, it's not a console exclusive, which is good. I don't have a PlayStation. Dragon's Dogma easily deserved a sequel, and it's been more than long enough. The fans are ready.
The fans are ready.
Yeah, I want to go back and play that first one, but Daniel said that he heard it wasn't great.
Well, I mean, no, I didn't. No. Don't quote me on that. I didn't say it wasn't great. I said there's some like gameplay elements that haven't aged well. and it feels a little dated.
I don't mind playing dated games.
Then by all means, Coyote, go back and play it. I'm just saying I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to wait. And I don't even have to wait that long because it comes out March the 22nd.
Oh, geez. Okay.
So,
wow.
I'm just going to wait. Don't hate on me about this Dragon's Dogma thing, okay? That's not what I'm trying to do here today.
Well, this morning, as we record this, it is morning, barely. Okay, so also I noticed there were tons of comments. I didn't include this game in the poll because I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal, but so many people commented Stellar Blade. Like everyone was like, Stellar Blade, Stellar Blade. We got a comment here from DVZ13 who said, Stellar Blade, the real Bayonetta 3.
The real Bayo 3. I mean, we got a long look at Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
And we both said that it looked interesting. We don't really know what it is or what,
I mean, it does kind of seem like a Platinum Games type game. I don't know who's doing Stellar Blade, but it does look in line. I think you mentioned that it kind of reminded you of Nier, and obviously Bayonetta is another because it's very hack and slash type gameplay.
Shift Up Corporation is the dev.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks good to me. I'm interested. I don't know. It looked cool, but it didn't look like something that I would be like, oh, I gotta play that right now.
No, it's not like gotta play for me. But it looked neat, and if it lights the world on fire, I'll play it.
That's what I was about to say. If it ends up coming out and people are like loving it, then I'll be like, okay, sure, let's do it.
Right. All right, we got a comment from Tom Derry here who said, Silent Hill 2, classic horror game, one of the GOATs. Stellar Blade and Rose of Ronin, respectively, 2 and 3. I'm sure you meant Roz, but I just want to put words in your mouth, Tom.
Could be Rose of Ronin.
It could be. That might be a cooler name. Maybe at the end of Rise of the Ronin, you get the Rose of the Ronin.
Ooh, maybe Tom knows something we don't know.
He knows how to guess a game.
He does know how to guess a game.
Yeah, I know you're probably excited about this Silent Hill 2 thing.
Well,
being a horror dude.
I love horror games, but I've never played the Silent Hill games. I've always been a Resident Evil person, but you always hear Resident Evil and Silent Hill kind of talked about in the same breath, so it's like, I want to try it. Maybe I need to try the old classic Silent Hill 2. This is that's the game that so many people go back to and it's like, it's an amazing game.
Right. Right. And those new RE games, those remakes are fantastic. So maybe this is something I need to try too. Did you play the short message yet?
No, I'd have it downloaded on my PlayStation. I just have not played it yet.
Okay.
I haven't had time to do it, but I heard it wasn't great.
I did too.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
It looked the trailer looked pretty good.
The trailer did look cool. It looked a little spooky, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, which is good. I like the heebie-jeebies.
But speaking of not giving me the heebie-jeebies, the Silent Hill 2 trailer didn't really do it for me, unfortunately.
Me neither. It looked like RE Light.
It looked like they're trying to go with the Resident Evil remake thing, but like the Great Value brand version of it.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know, guys. I don't think this doesn't look great.
Yeah, I'm not interested in generic Leon. I've experienced the real thing.
They did make him look kind of like Leon. I don't know what the guy originally looked like, but I have a suspicion he probably didn't look like Leon.
I think they should probably make his name Noel.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh, goodness. Yeah, they're obviously trying, and I get why they're doing it. Because Resident Evil remakes have been amazing. Pretty much every one of those have completely slapped.
Yeah.
So it's like...
people love him. People love Leon.
Let's make him look a little bit like... They gave him a little bit of a Leon haircut.
I know
it's
they
like,
did.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, you want to talk about a little bit of Rise of the Ronin?
Yeah, I mean, like, Rise of the Ronin looks neat. I think that's one of those games that... If it comes out and people love it, I might be willing to give it a try. Otherwise, I'm not a hard pass on it, but right now I am a pass on Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, so I thought Rise of the Ronin looked pretty cool the whole time when we got things on it. I thought this trailer was the worst one I'd seen.
It kind of made the game look a little janky, and I don't know why.
It did. I think it gave us a lot more of actual gameplay and combat, and I didn't love the way it looked.
So it looks... a little bit like Ghost of Tsushima. A
little bit.
But kind of faster paced.
Yep. People compare it to Sekiro a lot because Sekiro was faster paced.
Yeah, definitely.
Sekiro
I think
didn't-
I even brought up Sekiro when we were watching on stream, and I said it kind of reminded me a little bit of Sekiro. But even I've not played Sekiro, but it kind of reminds me of what I've seen of Sekiro.
Sekiro didn't feel janky or look janky at all, though. And maybe this game won't either, but it kind of looked that way.
I saw a PlayStation posted a little video of where they were, like they showed them using this glider and then coming off the glider and like landing on a horse or something. And the animations for closing the glider was literally one frame. It was like, bloop. It just did not look good. It was like, ooh, why you got to showcase this? I mean, it's a cool mechanic. That's neat. But it kind of showed how janky the game was. And I think this game is supposed to come out fairly soon.
Yeah, I think it is.
We've seen it so many times that it feels like it's coming soon, at least.
I mean, as an idea for a game, it being like you're a samurai guy, but you're in that like transitional area or time of Japan, when the guns are coming in too, like that's really interesting to me. There's been a lot of media that covered that. Shout out to Tom Cruise, Last Samurai. You know what I'm saying? That movie slaps. So like by that logic, this game should be cool too. But I'm not sure that I'm a day oneer on this one,
No, like I said, I think you feel like I do. If it comes out and people love it, sure, I'll give it a try. But you can't play all these games. There's so many games. And
there are too many games.
And in terms of things that I do want to play that we saw, like one of the ones that really stood out to me was I've never been interested in a Metro game, but this Metro Exodus VR, it's Metro Awakening, right? What's it called?
Metro Awakening VR.
Metro Awakening. I'm thinking of the other Metro game, but Metro Awakening VR. That looks really cool to me. We got a comment here from Kay Wynn, who said, Metro looks cool. I agree. It looked way cooler than I expected it. I've never been interested in a Metro game.
It did look cool. I'm not going to play it. I don't own a PSVR 2, and I don't ever plan to because that crap makes me sick, as I've said on the podcast many times. But I'm glad that they're finally doing something for the VR.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be a PSVR 2 exclusive. Maybe it will be.
Well, I mean, if I can play it on my old MetaQuest 2, and it won't make me vomit, then maybe I'll do it.
I don't know, but it was cool that we got 2 VR games showcased because us PSVR 2 owners, we've been starving. There's been hardly any.
Yeah, because you spent $500 on a headset. That's why you're starving.
$550, Daniel.
My bad.
It costs more than the PS5.
That is ridiculous. Sorry.
It's a very good headset.
I'm sure it is. I haven't even put yours on, not one time.
You're no interest in.
There's nothing to play.
There's nothing to play on it. You can put it on and be like, okay, I got it on my head now.
Wow, this is comfortable.
There are some games to play on it. And every time I bring up that I don't think there are any games on the PSVR 2, people get upset and they're like, yes, there are. You just haven't played them. You haven't given them a shot. Okay, maybe there are. But here's the thing. They have to be appealing enough for me to look through the games that are on there and be like, yeah, I want to spend my money on this. Metro Awakening VR seems like a VR game that I would spend money on to play. So I'm excited to give that game a try. The other game that they showed that was a VR game was that Legendary Tales. I think that's what it was.
Oh, that was the sword fighty.
Yeah, that game
dungeon crawling looking thing.
It looked cool, but the graphics on it were not. They look like last gen VR experience.
They do, but I wonder if it feels really good.
That can make a big difference.
Some of the physics looked really cool.
Oh yeah, did you see that when he took the sword and threw it from one hand to the other and caught, or it was like changed the grip and then threw it and caught it. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's the combat looked cool.
So who knows? Okay,
alrighty,
we're gonna move on and we're gonna talk about Kojima.
Yeah, we worked through an outline here and we've just got a whole heading that just says Kojima.
It just says Kojima. So we got Death Stranding 2. We got a comment about Death Stranding 2. Hit us with it, Daniel.
Oh, Vladic87 said, Death Stranding 2 didn't disappoint with the bonkers trailer.
It was bonkers.
Bonkers it was. Yeah.
About that.
I don't even know what to say. It looks insane. I never finished Death Stranding 1. But that game was weird already.
A very weird game.
But I don't think I've ever seen nothing like what I saw in this trailer.
I expect weird stuff from Death Stranding too. Kojima the dude has lost it. I mean,
what happened to Kojima? What happened to him that caused
I don't know. Something happened.
Is he okay?
I hope he's okay. I mean, I loved Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, and Death Stranding 1.
Sorry, Death Stranding 1. I love Death Stranding. So I think that game was worth playing, although it was very weird. I'm a little worried that Death Stranding 2 is going to go just that little bit further, and it's going to push me out of the realm of thinking like...
You think it's going to be too weird?
I'm afraid. I'm a little afraid.
Okay, I haven't heard Randy say this yet. So I know you love Death Stranding 1.
I do.
I didn't hardly think there was anything he could do to get you to say anything negative about Death Stranding 2. But when I watched the trailer, I honestly came out of it confused about whether or not I was really excited or I wanted to avoid it like the plague. I just can't tell because it was so freaking weird. I think I'm more excited. I think they might have crossed the line enough to pull me back in.
Oh, it was just wrapped around.
I think they've circumnavigated the weirdness globe.
Okay.
And maybe somewhere along the way, Randy, we went too far for Randy, and maybe it went far enough for me.
You know,
the Joker's playing a damn guitar.
I know. So that was
Joel's playing the guitar.
I think that's interesting that they included that in this game because it is major spoilers for the first game, first of all, that this character is even around.
Okay.
But whatever. So, they basically spoiled a huge part of the first game because he's one of the main villains of the first game. Mm-hmm. So, whatever. But still, since Kojima put it out in a trailer, I guess I can talk about it.
I think you can.
So that was weird. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, like the thing I loved about Death Stranding was its vibe and atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And the gameplay really wasn't anything special. People have called it a walking simulator.
With good reason, I think.
The combat wasn't very good, and it was almost like only 1% of the game. It was so little of the game that you could even forget that combat was in the game. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't really a thing. So, but I loved the vibe. I loved the approach to storytelling. And as weird as it was, it just clicked with me. Mm-hmm. It didn't click with everybody.
Yeah, didn't click with me. I thought it was cool and vibey, but not enough to make me want to go through however many hours it would have took. Yeah. In the Death Stranding 2 trailer, there was that moment when Sam is like, I don't know if there's like an earthquake or something, but he's kind of wobbling. Mm-hmm. And that like took me right back to the first game because you just know you're spamming those triggers right there, trying to get your equilibrium back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that spoke to me.
Well, here's the thing: is like this trailer did not have the same vibe as the first game. Like the vibe was different. But the first trailer we got for Death Stranding 2 had a very similar vibe to the first game. So it could be that this trailer was just cut together in a way that, makes this game feel a little different. It could have been the way they kind of just had it shown. It doesn't necessarily, it was just a slice of the game. So
it's not even much more action packed for sure.
And that's the thing. It was probably cut together like a movie trailer.
Yeah.
Which is what Kojima's going for. He's all about creating these movie-like cinema experiences. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't necessarily translate to what is probably going to be a 40, 50-hour game. It may not be, but I'm assuming if it's like Death Stranding, it's probably going to be a fairly long game.
Yeah.
And so you don't get all that in one big trailer like you saw in this trailer.
So here's my hope for it. Because one of the things that I did not like about the time I spent with the first game was that when you went back to the house or whatever, the place Sam slept.
That changes based on where you're at.
Okay. Well, when you would take a shower, it would show you an ad for Norman Reedus's show, his show on AMC. And that took me so out of the game every time. And it happened a lot. And I hope they don't put anything like that in Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, they did the whole, there was the ads for Monster Energy Drink and...
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. I don't know who made that decision and who thought that would improve the game. It's a little fourth wall breaking, and I know, it definitely did that a lot. So I think it kind of makes sense in terms of continuing that. Maybe ads in game is funny. It's like, it breaks the fourth wall in a weird way, but also it just feels a little weird.
It feels maybe it is a little funny in a really cheap way, but they're getting paid for that. So that you can't tell me their whole motivation was, this will be funny. No, it was, you'll pay us millions of dollars. You know, I don't like that. You're already going to make plenty of money, Kojima. Just keep me in the world. Don't take me out of it.
So we got another comment here from Evil Moon who said, Death Stranding was the coolest to see, but I can't be super hyped for it after never being able to finish the first game. That's kind of where you stand, too.
It's kind of where I am. I thought it looked really cool, obviously weird, but yeah, I never finished the first game. So I'm not just, you know, losing sleep over it with excitement, but it looks cool.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to play Death Stranding, too.
Yeah.
But I will say that this trailer, it both made me more excited to play it and less excited to play it. And I don't know exactly why. I don't know if I could put to words. Maybe you could suss out why, but something about it was like, wow, that was really cool, but also, wow, that was really, really weird. And I think it comes a lot down to Kojima and the way that Kojima has been kind of presented as this gaming god among mortals, you know?
He really has. He is put on such a pedestal, and I just can't hardly figure out why. I know the man has done some really great things.
Oh, lots, yeah.
But so have a lot of developers. You know, why do
we don't treat Miyamoto this
I was
way.
about to say Miyamoto. I was about to say the same thing. And if anybody should be on the highest pedestal, it's Miyamoto.
I mean, maybe we do, but it doesn't feel like Miyamoto thinks he's a rock star.
Yeah, maybe he's just a little more humble about it. You know, I don't, and I'm not trying to trash on Kojima. He's probably a cool dude if you can get him to speak on this plane, you know.
Right.
But I'm getting a little tired of the whole Kojima demigod treatment.
And then at the end, they ended the showcase, not with the Death Stranding 2 thing. I mean, that was the second to last thing. The last thing they showed us was just Kojima talking about what he was going to do next. Didn't show anything about it. Just basically was like, yep, I'm making a game for PlayStation. It's going to be a new IP. It's going to be, what was it? They said it's going to...
Action espionage.
An action espionage game. Okay. So
he's got some experience there.
He got some experience with that. So, okay, sure, we'll take it. And then, of course, it will attempt to blur the line between video or movies and video games. Of course.
Yeah, well, you know, that sounds a little similar to an announcement that they got on the Xbox side called OD.
But we actually got to see a little bit of OD.
Yeah. He literally said the same thing except for the genre.
Yeah, it's not... OD's a horror game.
Yeah.
So he's kind of going... It's really weird that we're getting Kojima creating these two games that are going to be exclusive. One exclusive to Xbox, one exclusive to PlayStation. And they're both basically taking his roots of the games he's created in the past and creating what he has said is going to be like his ultimate experience. This blur the line it's a new type of media. It's not a movie. It's not a game. It's somewhere in between. And really kind of going to have this Xbox and PlayStation thing. That is strange to me.
Yeah, it is. And what is that? What does it even mean? What's Kojima even talking about? Not a movie, not a game. Like, what does that even become? Does that mean it's a mediocre movie and a mediocre game? Or does it mean, I mean, like, what?
I know. And without seeing it, you just have to trust that this dude's putting together this thing. And it's like, yeah, it has potential to be amazing.
Of course it does.
Kojima's put together great stuff. And like I said, I even love Death Stranding, as divisive as that game was. I think that game was a great game, and it did sort of attempt to blur the line between a movie and a video game. And I would say that it probably leaned a little bit more into the movie aspect than the video game aspect, but still, it was a video game.
Yeah. Now, did Death Stranding win like Game of the Year? Did it sell like the best of anything that year or anything like?
No.
I'm trying to figure out, like, on paper, why is Kojima so heralded here in the current?
It's not Death Stranding. Yeah, it's his past works.
Yeah. I mean, obviously like the Metal. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, like Metal Gear was such a huge thing for so many people. It doesn't speak to us because we're not big Metal Gear people.
Right. I'm gonna look up like Kojima. You know.
I mean, Silent Hill too. We got to keep about Silent Hill. You know, and that's again, we're getting these huge games. But. What are you looking at?
Snatcher. That's an old game that I've heard people really like. I forgot that's a Kojima game. You ever heard of Snatcher? I don't remember what system it is. I think it's a Sega system.
Not heard of Snatcher.
I think it's an old Sega game. A lot of Metal Gear on the list. Obviously, we got the PT.
Everyone loves PT.
PT is kind of a legend at this point. Mm-hmm. This list is mostly Metal Gear, if I'm being honest. Obviously, you get Death Stranding. Mostly Metal Gear.
Metal Gear stuff people love. I've played only one Metal Gear game, and it was The Phantom Pain. And I didn't love that game.
Right.
So, but I'm sure there are others. I might enjoy some of the other Metal Gear games more.
Yeah.
Probably likely would, because I know that The Phantom Pain, although some people liked it, it was not loved by everyone, especially a lot of the older Metal Gear fans. Not everyone loved it. Mm-hmm. So.
And I'm not trying to trash on Kojima, because I do want to play Death Stranding 2. It looked weird enough. I want to play it. But I guess I just don't get it because I'm not a Metal Gear guy. Mm-hmm. And it's getting a little played out to me, I guess. Like every award show, we're getting this like Kojima segment, and I'm just getting a little tired of it, I guess. Getting a little numb to it.
I don't blame you. I think that's also one of the things that, like, I'm in this situation where, like, I've played some Kojima games and I've not played most of them. I've only played a few. So, like, he has to really sell me on those games. I'm not a type of person that's just going to be like, yep, I'm going to play and love his games. Right. I'm just not there. So I have to be sold on it. And coming out and just being like, I'm making a game doesn't do anything for me. In fact, it just makes you seem a little pompous and be like, well, cool, dude.
Yeah, it does. Even if you do have a sick drone shot at the end.
Dude, and that drone shot was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Tell us why we're wrong about this.
Yeah.
Explain the Kojima hype to us, please.
Yes. We didn't even get Jordan Peele this time.
Oh, he's there. He's there. He's on Xbox. He can't show up on both. He can't show up on Xbox and on PlayStation.
Right.
Yeah.
What if Keegan-Michael Key showed up for the PlayStation one? That would have been sick. That would have killed me. I think I could have jumped on the Kojima hype at that
I would have
point.
loved it. If he had done that, that would have been just meta enough for me to laugh like crazy about.
That would be such a meme.
Oh, it would be amazing.
That is amazing. Kojima, you really missed an opportunity there.
Even if it was just for him to just like be like sitting in the background, just like eating a sandwich or something, like that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
All right, y'all. So we're going to get into our last segment of the podcast here, which is the 3 for Dale Club. You see, you hung out with us this entire time. We know it wasn't easy.
It's never easy to hang out with us. It's not easy for us to hang out with ourselves, if we're being honest. But if you made it all the way to the end, we want you to join our exclusive organization called the 3 for Dale Club. And all you have to do is leave us a comment that says 3 for Dale.
Yeah. It's just our way of saying thanks for supporting us and watching the podcast and making it all the way to the end. So what we do is we look for anyone who puts 3 for Dale in their comment. You can really say whatever you want. Just add 3 for Dale in there somewhere. We look for the people who add that secret code phrase, and then we shout you out at the end of the next podcast to thank you for supporting us and hanging out with us.
All right. Starting out the 3 for Dale Club this week, we have Laninator, who said, thanks for getting Laninator addicted to Sea of Thieves, his therapist.
Yeah, his therapist.
So that was actually his therapist.
His therapist was quoting, saying, thanks for getting him addicted to Sea of Thieves. I don't know if that was like a sarcastic thanks, but no, or maybe it was a genuine thanks.
It's a genuine thanks because that therapist is been to make bank.
Speaking of Sea of Thieves, guys, we stream Sea of Thieves quite often on our Twitch channel. Mm-hmm. So there's a link to the Twitch channel in the description of wherever you get this podcast. Come hang out with us.
Heck yeah.
We're playing Sea of Thieves, but we're doing a lot of other stuff too.
Mm-hmm. We even brought the old Sea of Thieves channel back to the Discord because it's popping so hard over there. So
it's popping real hard. I've never seen something pop that hard.
Just let me cook, okay?
Okay.
So join the Discord also, and damn it, Randy, go ahead.
All right, next we got Dylan Rafferty, who said, nothing will kill my interest more than the words early access survival game. So this is in reference to our last podcast where we talked about Pal World.
Old Pokemans with guns.
Yeah, so a lot of these things we're going to talk about here for just a second are going to be talking about Pal World. But, I mean, early access survival game, I get how you can be turned off. I still would encourage you to play Pal World, though, because I do think that if it interests you at all, I think it's worth playing.
Yeah, me too. All right, next up we got Landon Dale himself, Stallings, who he's a man of few words. But we're glad he's here.
Oh, he's like our biggest supporter, guys. Landon is the most amazing person.
He's an OG.
He's an OG. All right, next. We got D18, who said, if this was a bad Pokemon / Breath of the Wild / Arc clone, no one would care about it. That's a great point, because I think you said on the last podcast that, yeah, they combined all these games together, but if they didn't know what elements to take to put in this one product, it would have been a flop. Yeah. You can't just steal and make it a good game. You have to know how to create a good game out of those parts.
And I think they have done that to a certain extent. So, yeah, I agree with you, D18. Omaha, also, when I was reading your comment, it said if this was a bad Pokemon breath, I thought we were talking about bad Pokemon breath for a minute because I didn't notice the slash. And I immediately started thinking, like, what Pokemon would have the worst breath?
Ooh, which Pokemon have the worst breath?
I mean, I think the obvious answer would be any fire Pokemon because their breath would kill you.
Right. Like, that was my first gut reaction. It was like, oh, Charizard, easy, because he's going to kill you. He's going to have some bad breath.
For sure.
But in terms of, like, just a real nasty breath, what's Mr. Mime? What's that dude's name?
Mr. Mom? He ain't gonna have the worst breath.
He ain't brushed his teeth. That dude he ain't got good hygiene.
What about like Lickitung?
You can just tell he don't brush his teeth.
Lickitung licks everything they come in contact with. Like, think about all the bacteria and stuff that's...
You would think that would be bad, but it actually is probably really good for the microbiome on that tongue, and it probably is, that's probably real fresh.
It doesn't help my kitties.
Yeah, well...
Maybe they're right in the middle. They need to either lick less or lick more.
Maybe.
Lickitung.
Maybe.
3 for Dale.
Next, we got Tom Derry, who just left us as 3 for Dale. He may have said something, but I may have missed it.
That's okay. Tom will forgive you.
Yeah, Tom will forgive me.
All right.
Tom, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here too, Tom. Next up, we got Iron Knight, who said if the devs keep the same vibe as the game started with, this will have a long tail. If they start to bend to the pressure to remove the funny parts like capturing people or add microtransactions, then it will be more of a flash in the pan. And again, talking about Power World.
I don't think they're going to remove the funny parts. That's what I was going to get at. I think they're going to keep those things. I think that's what makes Power World, humorous. There are these kinds of like, you can do that? What the heck?
Yeah.
Those are great. Microtransactions, I haven't noticed any microtransactions in the game. I'm sure they're going to add something later, right?
I hope not.
I could see that happening.
I hope they don't. I don't like that.
No. It's really cool that we've had this game blow up. And I think that it does a lot of good things. I think Pokemon needs to take notes because I think they could take some elements of this and figure out what do people like about this and how can we incorporate that into a Pokemon game. I think it's a good thing for everybody, really.
100%.
All right. That was what from Iron...
That was Iron Knight.
All right. So now we have Guy. Guy said, great discussion all around. It's very crazy how much it exploded, and I really hope the devs continue to work on it and improve it.
Yeah, we do too.
Yep.
I'd like that game to be great.
I think maybe it's already a good game. It's a good game. It hasn't captivated me personally, but like as much love as I've seen people say about it, and like also just having played it, I do think it is a good game, and I see why so many people have gotten addicted to it, and they spent so many hours playing it.
Yeah, same here.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess that's the end of it. So until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.